Let's return to our study on secrets to a long and happy marriage life. This is what we all want. I know it's what I want, and I know it's what you and your spouse want as well. Let's review briefly before we get into some of these things. First of all, we've been talking about this idea of praying together daily with your spouse. Every single day, build a habit of prayer before you eat, before you go to bed, as you travel, as you face difficulties in your marriage, as you celebrate things. Pray daily with your spouse. This is so essential to a growing marriage. And in the second video, we talked about this simple idea of connecting, even more so, committing to a local healthy church. One that teaches from the Bible, one where you and your spouse can go and worship together. We talked about this simple idea that couples who worship together stay together. And worshiping together is essential for you to have a long and happy marriage as a couple. The other thing we're going to look at is number 3. In number 3, as I check here in my notes for a minute, we talked about this idea of starting marriage training. Starting marriage training and coaching. We all need marriage training. We all need marriage coaching at some point or another in our lives. It's not that our marriage is bad. I mean, your marriage doesn't have to be bad for it to get better, but it is essential for you to get marriage training and marriage coaching, something that you can do consistently over time, not 4 hours a week, but 30 minutes a week, something that you can do and build progressively into your marriage. So now we arrive at week number 4, and here it is. Connect to a marriage group. Connect to a marriage group. One of the things that I challenge couples to do is not to do life on your own. You don't need to do life on your own. Actually, life was not meant to do alone. If you were, then you'd be on an island somewhere. But that's not really healthy for your relationship. We all know this. People need people. And in marriage, you need other couples to help you pursue your dream of this happy and prosperous marriage together as a couple. So what does it mean when we say connect to a marriage group? Well, let me tell you my story. When Yami and I first got married, we were involved in church in different ways, and I would teach the middle school kids. And then over time, we started connecting to different groups. Oftentimes, these groups would consist primarily of couples. And one of the things that we found was that it was crucial to our marriage to learn from other couples. I mean, we all have different ideas of what marriage should look like, and in a small group, unlike a large church setting, you can really get intimate. You can really ask questions, and you can see married life lived right before you. When a couple had a disagreement and all eyes are watching them in a marriage small group, everyone would sit back and say, okay, what are they going to do now? How are they going to respond to this? Are they going to raise their voice? Are they going to curse? Are they going to scream? What exactly are they going to do? And in a marriage group, you can observe people up close. You can watch their life, you can learn from their lives, and you can learn valuable marriage skills. So let me help you unpack a couple of things. Number 1, your marriage works best in the context of this: growing relationships. Think about it this way. As you and your spouse are building your marriage, as you and your spouse are looking ahead to really have a long and happy marriage, your marriage, and every marriage really functions best in the context of growing relationships. It's interesting because when you surround yourself with other like-minded couples, things start to change. Some of the old patterns or habits or even perspectives that you may or may not have had, now they begin to shift and adjust in your marriage. Your spouse has an opportunity to speak with somebody else about something that you're considering, something that you're working through. You can get feedback, but it's in this context of growing relationships. And if several couples are growing together, you and your spouse are growing together as well. The second thing I want to mention is that it's not only important to have growing relationships, But it's very important to have like-minded couples to help you along the way. I mean, you and I have met couples that have very bizarre ideas, right? I mean, they're strange and they're just plain weird. But when you connect to a marriage group, particularly a marriage group in your church or an online marriage group that we offer couples, etc., there's something that happens within that like-mindedness. You begin to speak the same language. You begin to understand things through a different filter. And in a marriage group, what you can do is you can filter plans, you can filter thoughts and perspectives through God's Word. That is the ultimate authority in your marriage and in my marriage. Because listen, we all have great ideas, but these great ideas are always what? Well, they're not always so great. And we need other people to challenge us. We need other people to stimulate in us thoughts and other ideas and other perspectives. And this is something that will really help you and your spouse. The other thing I wanted to mention is that your marriage, and in a marriage group, there are three components, and I'm going to write them down: encouragement, direction, and accountability. Here we go. Forgive my poor handwriting. Encouragement. And the second one is direction. And the third one is accountability. You know, I laugh because when my wife and I first started, we first got married and we would do the bills together, she would not allow me to write checks because she said, your handwriting's horrific. You can't write checks. So she would write all the checks and I would forecast and look ahead and say, okay, let's pay this now and do all that stuff. Anyway, I'm sidetracking, but you get the point. So let's talk about these three things: encouragement, direction, and accountability. What happens in a small group? What happens in a marriage group? Well, first of all, you and your spouse get encouragement. We all need a healthy dose of encouragement every single week. Our group, for an example, meets on Wednesdays, and I look forward to Wednesdays because we laugh, we celebrate, at times we cry, but the reality is we do life together. We all need encouragement. You need encouragement. I need encouragement. Our spouses need encouragement. Remember what we said before. You can't do everything for your spouse. Your spouse needs other healthy spiritual relationships to help her grow, to help him grow, and to help you grow as well. Number two, direction. Direction. I always find it interesting when couples are looking to purchase their first home or townhome or condominium, and they have all these questions. They go online, they go to Google, they search, but still there's nothing like experience to come alongside them and encourage them forward. When couples are considering either moving or leaving one job to take another or starting a business, there's nothing like a group of like-minded people that are searching for God's will, searching for your best, to come alongside you and give you direction at a time of need. So what happens in this relationship? You get encouragement, you get direction, you get new perspectives, and then the third thing is you get accountability. Accountability is important. Accountability means you are committing to something, you're letting others know that you're committing to something, and then others can come alongside and walk with you and encourage you to keep going. It's not necessarily a bad thing. When we hear that word accountability, we think, oh, there's an audit coming up. No, it's really helping you to fulfill your commitments. We all need other people to ask us, hey, Marcel, how are you doing in your plan to eliminate debt? Okay, well, I need to tell them I'm doing really well, or I've been slacking this last month. They may come alongside and say, hey, how are you doing in that relationship where there was a conflict? Have you called them? Have you set up a meeting? Are you doing something? All of these things matter. And in a marriage group, in a marriage coaching group, for an example, you can get the accountability you need, not to just slip through the cracks, but actually get things done and move your relationship forward. So once again, the three things: encouragement, direction, and accountability. If these things are ongoing in your marriage because you're participating in a marriage group, what's going to happen? Your marriage is going to experience greater happiness and contentment, and you're going to find you're going to get more things done. You're going to be serious about your marriage because guess what? People may ask you questions, and when they ask you a question, you're going to have to answer. And that's a good thing for your relationship. Why is a marriage group so important? Because it stimulates new perspectives. It encourages you, it gives you direction, and it holds you accountable. If you're wondering how a marriage group can help you, if you're wondering how marriage training can help you, I invite you to consider a free training webinar. Down below in the description, you'll find the link to a free training webinar for you and your spouse to watch. It only takes 30 minutes to watch this. You don't have to take any notes or anything if you don't want to, but it will stimulate new ideas for your relationship. Go ahead, look below there on the description, click on the link, and follow us and watch this simple marriage training webinar.